Is it really a great idea for influencers to be the face of their businesses, of their brands? This is a question I've been asking myself over the past days following the cancelling of Matilda Djerf, a Swedish social media influencer, fashion designer, and the founder of Djerf Avenue, which is a fashion business. Her cancellation was brought about by allegations that were made against her by her former employees. They mentioned that she was abusive as a boss. They mentioned that she created a toxic workplace at Djerf Avenue. And from a lot of reactions, a lot of people seem to be really taken back because they never really thought she could be that kind of person. But this is why in this video I really want to look at the downsides, or the possible downsides, of influencer businesses, because it brings about different challenges than normal businesses, seeing that the face of the brand is someone that a lot of people saw themselves in, were inspired by, and these businesses they're creating are sort of extensions of their influence. And so does that mean that the fall of an influencer leads to the fall of the business? It's a new business model that of course comes with new challenges, and this is what we're going to be looking at in this video. Welcome to Monetize Attention. My name is jepkendagor, and on this channel I like exploring marketing strategies, discovering brands, and of course the profitability of attention. Now if you want to learn more about the allegations against Matilda Djerf, I'm going to leave the link to the Marie Claire article that I read in the description box. But what I really find very interesting is that all these allegations that she's getting are very much against the DNA of her brand Djerf Avenue. When you look at the Our Story or About Us section of Djerf Avenue, it really speaks about Djerf Avenue being a safe space, being a company that is founded on kindness and inspiration. It's all about the good vibes. And what I really noted about this brand in particular is that the story is very much inspired by the founders, and I think this is kind of a slippery slope, because it means that as a founder, whatever it is that you do can't always be attached to the brand, which is not a good thing, because we are all human beings and you're not perfect, and sometimes you'll make mistakes, and it's not nice when those mistakes are attached to a whole business that employs many other people. And if that business goes down, it means that the livelihoods of many other people are also going to be lost. And when these allegations came to light, Matilda Djerf came forward and gave an apology, and I did notice that her apology was very much, should I say, a corporate apology. It really doesn't focus on the allegations that were brought up against her. She talks about how she was not a good leader and she wants to learn, but these allegations against her are really not about leadership, but really about her character. I mean, when it comes to cases of bullying is not something that is a mistake. You don't make a mistake of bullying someone. You bully people because you're someone that looks down on other people, because you're someone that doesn't value other people. She still has a substantial following on Instagram. Her brand still has a substantial following. I mean, it looks like a lot of people who are following her really didn't care about all these things that people were saying about her and all these allegations brought against her. And in some of the comments I'm seeing people being like, why are they still following her? And I think this really speaks about the impact of influencers. I definitely think that influencers being the face of their own brands or even other businesses is a big risk. There's a huge downside to that, but I'm not really sure that it could be a downside, because one of the things that really make influencers is the bond that they're able to cultivate with people that they don't know, with strangers. The impact of parasocial relationships when it comes to influencers and their audiences is insanely high. And one of the reasons is that a lot of people project the images that they have of their future selves on these influencers, because a lot of people start following influencers they consider to be, one, rich, wealthy, two, to be very attractive. A lot of people are always thinking of influencers as their vision boards, and the vicious reactions that you always see when an influencer is being cancelled, when something comes up about them not being this perfect human being, it's not really a reaction to the things that these influencers have done, but it's a reaction to these perfect images that the audiences had of them. Now, it is a fact that for many influencers like Matilda Djerf, a lot of the notoriety they get is because of their attractiveness, because they fit the beauty standard. And there are actually a lot of studies that show that there is something called attractiveness bias, and this is when a lot of people think that just because someone is attractive, it automatically means that they are a good person. And this is why we're always seeing these vicious reactions when these influencers are shown be perfect human beings. They not only make mistakes, but they might be horrible human beings, and a lot of audiences have a hard time with this because of that attractiveness bias, understanding that their favorite influencer could, yes, be the embodiment of everything they want, attractiveness and wealth, but they could also be not a decent human being. But what I also find to be very interesting is that some people are able to overlook all these bad things that have been revealed about a certain influencer, because for them the dream of becoming like that influencer is much stronger. And that's why you always see that even if someone is getting cancelled, most of the time they actually don't lose anything. They might end up gaining, because that is free publicity that they're getting. This really reminds me of something that we're always saying in public relations: there is no bad publicity. All publicity is good publicity, because at the end of the day, even when people are trying to cancel you, what they're doing is actually introducing more people to you. The thing about Matilda Djerf and what she really does well is that when you look at her Instagram page, the lifestyle that she is selling goes hand in hand with the promise of her brand Djerf Avenue. She looks effortless. She looks like, oh, she's living a very calm, peaceful, soft life. She looks like, oh, she's not putting a lot of effort into anything. It's effortless, it's confident, and that's exactly what a lot of people want. At the end of the day, when it comes to a lot of these influencer businesses, they're really rooted in taking advantage of people's desires, and these desires are always the image that people project on these influencers, and these influencers are able to take that, create a business out of it, and we don't know whether this business model is going to last for a very long time. This is still something new, so we are going to see in 10 years, 20 years, 50 years from now, but for now it works. And this is exactly why influencer marketing is kind of scary for a lot of businesses, because it's not something that has a blueprint of right and wrong. Most times it depends on the influencer, it depends on what they are selling, it depends on the parasocial relationships, it depends on a lot of things. And because as human beings we have biases and stereotypes, and we are also projecting this on human beings, it's quite complicated. And of course the reaction that influencers get is always differing. I mean, you could get influencers that do the exact same bad thing, but the reaction that they get is very different depending on different things, depending on whether they fit the beauty standard, depending on whether the audiences think they are worthy of being called a human being. They're going to look at their gender, they're going to look at their hair texture, they're going to be looking at their skin color. All these things come to play. That's why it's not really easy to just say that this is the downside of influencer businesses, because at the end of the day it really depends on who the influencer is.